visor might get tangled. There are objects hanging from your interior mirror. Why could this be a hazard? What legal requirement must be met by a newly qualified driver? What circumstances require you to notify the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency (DVLA)? You're in a one-way street and want to turn right. Where should you position your vehicle when there are two lanes? You're approaching an unmarked crossroads. How should you deal with the junction? You're driving in a built-up area that has traffic calming measures. What should you do when you approach a road hump? You're towing a caravan. Which is the safest type of rear-view mirror to use? What should you do if there's a bus at a bus stop ahead of you? Which vehicles are least likely to be affected by side wind? What should you do when you're overtaking a motorcyclist on a windy day? You're driving on a single carriageway road. Why should you keep well back while you're following a large vehicle? You're about to go down a steep hill. What should you do to control the speed of your vehicle? What will help you to move off on a snowy surface? What's the main benefit of driving a four-wheel drive vehicle? How should you use anti-lock brakes when you need to stop in an emergency? You're driving a vehicle that has anti-lock brakes. You're driving along a country road. You see this sign. You're driving a vehicle that has anti-lock brakes. How should you apply the foot brake when you need to stop in an emergency? You're driving along a country road. You see this sign. What should you do after dealing safely with the hazard? Why is it more difficult to overtake a large vehicle than a car? You're driving in heavy traffic on a wet road. Which lights should you use if there's a lot of surface spray? What can result when you travel for long distances in neutral, known as coasting? How can you avoid wheel spin when you're driving on an icy road? What should you do when you're using a contraflow system? When may front fog lights be used? When will you feel the effects of engine braking? What should you do when you meet an oncoming vehicle on a single-track road? What will happen to your car when you drive up a steep hill? Why would you fit chains to your wheels? Why should you reduce your speed when you're driving or riding in fog? There's been a heavy fall of snow. What should you consider before driving in these conditions? When may you wait in a box junction? When must you use dipped headlights during the day? Why could it be dangerous to keep the clutch down, or select neutral, for long periods of time while you're driving? Why could it be dangerous to keep the clutch down, or select neutral, for long periods of time while you're driving? What will happen if you hold the clutch pedal down or roll in neutral for too long? The road is wet. Why would a motorcyclist steer around rain covers while they were cornering? Why is traveling in neutral for long distances known as coasting bad driving technique? Why is it bad technique to coast when you're driving downhill? There's been a collision. A motorcyclist is lying injured and unconscious. Why should you only remove their helmet if it's essential? What should you do to reduce the risk of your vehicle catching fire? You arrive at the scene of a crash where someone is bleeding heavily from a wound in their arm. Nothing is embedded in the wound. What could you do to help? You're going through a long tunnel. What will warn you of congestion or an incident ahead? At an incident, someone is suffering from severe burns. How could you help them? What do the white diagonal stripe markings in the middle of the road mean? Why is it dangerous to overtake near a junction? Why is there a warning, reduce speed now? When are you allowed to wait on the yellow grid markings? When may you wait in the area marked with a cycle? Why is the caravan unstable and swinging from side to side? Because the other cars are passing too close to it. Because of side winds. Because as you approach the roundabout, you want to change lanes. What routine should you follow? What does the single yellow line along the side of the road mean? Why has the tractor got flashing amber lights? Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you need to call for help. Why might it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone rather than a mobile phone? When would you use the right-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? What helps to reduce traffic bunching on a motorway? Your vehicle broke down on the hard shoulder of a motorway, but has now been repaired. How should you rejoin the main carriageway? Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? Why is it important to make full use of the slip road as you join a motorway? What would you expect to find at a contraflow system on a motorway? You have stopped in an emergency refuge area. What must you do before you rejoin the carriageway? How should you rejoin the motorway after a breakdown on the hard shoulder? You're joining a motorway from a slip road. How should you deal with traffic already on the motorway? Where should you stop to rest if you feel tired while you're traveling along a motorway? You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? When should you use the right-hand lane of a 3-lane dual carriageway? You're turning right at a crossroads. An oncoming driver is also turning right. What's the advantage of turning behind the oncoming vehicle? You're parked in a busy high street. What's the safest way to turn your vehicle around so you can drive in the opposite direction? Other than direction indicators, how can you give signals to other road users? What does this sign mean? Where may you overtake on a one-way street? Only on. When would you use the right-hand lane of a 2-lane dual carriageway? You're going to turn left from a main road into a minor road. What should you do as you approach the junction? What signal should you give when you're going straight ahead at a roundabout? Why could it be dangerous to reverse from a side road into a main road? What will become more expensive after you've been convicted of driving while unfit through drink or drugs? Why are place names painted on the road surface? Why should you check the information leaflet before taking any medicine? You're following a slower moving vehicle. What should you do if there's a junction just ahead on the right? When should you use hazard warning lights? How does drinking alcohol affect your driving behavior? Why is a toucan crossing different from other crossings? You want to turn right from a main road into a side road. What should you do just before turning? You're driving in a slow-moving queue of traffic. What should you do just before changing lane? You're driving in a slow-moving queue of traffic. What should you do just before changing lane? Why should you check for motorcyclists just before turning right into a side road? Which driving technique can help you save fuel? You're carrying an 11-year-old child on the front seat of your car. They are under 1.35 meters, 4 feet 5 inches tall. What seat belt security must be in place? How can you reduce the environmental harm caused by your motor vehicle? Why have Red routes, been introduced in major cities. Why do MOT tests include an exhaust emission test? How will your journey be affected by traveling outside the busy times of day? How can you avoid wasting fuel? When will your vehicle use more fuel? When its tires are underinflated. What may help to deter a thief from stealing your car? What can you do to reduce environmental damage caused by your vehicle? You plan your route before starting a journey. Why should you also plan an alternative route? What's the purpose of road humps, chicanes and narrowings? To reduce traffic speed. When is fuel consumption at its highest? How can you plan your route before starting a long journey? What's the purpose of a catalytic converter? To reduce harmful exhaust gases. When may you use hazard warning lights while you're driving? What does this white arrow on the road mean? You're at a junction controlled by traffic lights. When should you wait at a green light? What does this sign mean? Where would you find green reflective studs on a motorway? What does this traffic sign mean? Compulsory maximum speed limit. What does this sign mean? Two-way traffic crosses a one-way road. Where can you find reflective amber studs on a motorway? What does this sign mean? Other drivers may sometimes flash their headlights at you. What's the official meaning of this signal? Why should you make sure that your indicators are cancelled after turning at a junction? What does this sign mean? Vehicles may park fully on the verge or footway. When must your vehicle have valid insurance cover? Your insurer will issue you with an insurance certificate. When must you produce this document for inspection?